Chosen one, I cannot allow you to remain in the dark any longer. If you are watching this video right now, it is not by chance. Something inside you pulled you here today. Maybe you felt a strange feeling in your chest. Maybe you keep seeing the same numbers again and again. Maybe your sleep has not been peaceful lately. All of this is not random. It is a sign. And today, that sign has led you to this message. I am here to give you a warning. Not to scare you, but to wake you up. There is something powerful hidden inside you, something you have not been using, something you have been ignoring for a long time. Today, that changes. Sit comfortably. Take one deep breath in. Let it out slowly. For the next few minutes, forget everything else. This message is only for you. Many of you feel tired these days. Not just tired in the body, but tired in the soul. You wake up and you already feel heavy. You smile at people, but inside, something feels empty. You have been carrying this for a long time, and you have told no one. Listen carefully. This tiredness is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something inside you is trying to change. When a snake is about to grow, it first feels tight in its old skin. When a bird is about to fly for the first time, it first feels afraid at the edge of the nest. What you are feeling right now is not weakness. It is the feeling before growth. You are not broken. You are becoming. Do not believe the voice that tells you something is wrong with you. That voice is lying. You are exactly where you need to be, even if it does not feel like it today. Trust this process, even in the uncomfortable moments. Especially in the uncomfortable moments. Think about how many years you have spent trying to please everyone else. How many times have you agreed to something just to avoid conflict, even when your whole body was screaming no? How many nights have you replayed a conversation, wondering if you said too much, or too little, or the wrong thing entirely? This constant checking, this constant worrying about what other people think, has quietly worn you down. It has taken energy that was meant for your own dreams and spent it instead on managing everyone else's comfort. It is time to give that energy back to yourself. For many years, you have made yourself smaller than you really are. You have stayed quiet when you wanted to speak. You have said yes when you wanted to say no. You have hidden your dreams because you were afraid people would laugh at them. This has to stop today. You were not created to hide. You were not created to shrink so that other people feel comfortable. Every time you make yourself small, you are pushing away the life that was meant for you. Think about the dream you had when you were younger. The dream you gave up because someone told you it was not realistic. That dream did not disappear. It is still inside you, waiting quietly, waiting for the day you decide to believe in it again. Today can be that day. You do not need permission from anyone to become who you really are. You do not need everyone to understand your path. You only need to take one small step. Say the thing you have been holding back. Set the boundary you have been avoiding. Start the thing you have been putting off for months, maybe years. Staying small feels safe, but it is not really safe. It is slow suffering. And you deserve more than slow suffering. Think about the people you admire most in life. Chances are, none of them became who they are by staying small. They took up space. They spoke their truth even when their voice shook. They allowed themselves to be seen, fully, even the parts of themselves that felt imperfect. That is not luck. That is a choice. And it is a choice available to you too, starting today, starting with one small act of courage. Not everyone in your life is meant to walk with you forever. Some people come into your life for a short time. They teach you something important, and then their part in your story is finished. This is not a bad thing. This is simply how life works. Look closely at the people around you. After spending time with them, do you feel lighter, or do you feel heavier? Do you feel understood, or do you feel like you have to hide parts of yourself to keep them happy? Some relationships give you energy. Others quietly take it away, little by little, until you do not even recognize how tired you have become. You are allowed to move away from people who no longer see the real you. This does not make you cruel. This does not make you a bad friend, a bad partner, or a bad family member. It makes you someone who finally chose their own peace. You do not have to explain this decision to everyone. Just quietly protect your energy. The right people will not need you to shrink to stay close to them. This does not mean you cut people off in anger. It simply means you become more honest about what you need. Maybe that means spending less time with someone who constantly criticizes you. Maybe it means finally saying no to plans that only drain you. Maybe it means grieving a friendship that has quietly already ended, even if no one has said the words out loud yet. All of this is part of growing. Letting go is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is simply quiet, gentle, and necessary. Many people believe fear is something bad, something to fight against. But fear is not your enemy. Fear is simply telling you that something matters. Think about it. You do not feel fear about things you do not care about. You feel fear before a big decision, before a difficult conversation, before a new beginning, because these things are important to you. The mistake most people make is waiting for fear to disappear before they take action. But fear rarely disappears completely. It walks beside you, even when you are being brave. Being brave does not mean feeling no fear. It means moving forward even while the fear is still there. So the next time you feel afraid, do not run away from it. Instead, ask yourself, what is this fear trying to protect me from? And then ask yourself honestly, is that protection still needed, or is it just an old habit? You do not need to wait until you feel fearless. You only need to be willing to take one step, even while feeling scared. Consider how many opportunities have quietly passed you by simply because you waited for fear to leave first. The job you did not apply for. The conversation you kept postponing. The trip you never booked. Each of those moments felt too uncertain, too risky, too far outside your comfort zone. But comfort was never where your growth was waiting. Growth was always just outside that circle, patiently waiting for you to take one uncomfortable step toward it. Think about the things you have never said out loud. The apology you owe someone. The apology someone owes you that you are still waiting for. The feelings you swallow every day because speaking them feels too hard. These unspoken words do not disappear just because you stay silent. They sit inside your body. They show up in your sleep, in your mood, in the tightness in your shoulders. Silence does not always bring peace. Sometimes silence is simply pain wearing a quiet mask. The truth you are avoiding will keep knocking on your door until you finally open it. You do not have to say everything to everyone today. But you owe yourself honesty, even if it is only in your own heart at first. Write down what you feel if speaking feels too hard right now. Say it quietly to yourself if you are not ready to say it to another person. The truth does not need a big audience to begin healing you. It only needs to stop being buried. Sometimes the hardest truth to speak is not to another person at all. Sometimes it is the truth you have been avoiding telling yourself. That the job does not fulfill you anymore. That the relationship has changed. That the dream you keep postponing is quietly slipping further away with every year you wait. Facing these truths does not mean everything falls apart. Often, it means everything finally has the chance to fall into place, because you stopped pretending and started being honest with the one person you can never truly hide from, yourself. There is a difficult space between letting go of your old life and stepping fully into your new one. In this space, you cannot see the whole path. You can only see the next small step. This feels uncomfortable, and many people give up right here, in this in-between place, because they want guarantees before they move forward. But nothing in nature grows with guarantees. A seed does not see the tree it will become. It simply keeps reaching toward the light, one small movement at a time. If you wait for complete certainty before you act, you may wait forever. Certainty usually comes after you take action, not before. You do not need to see the entire staircase. You only need enough light to see the next step. Take that step. The next one will appear when you are ready for it. This in-between space is often where people feel the most lost, the most unsure of themselves. But this is also exactly where quiet strength is built. Every person who has ever created something meaningful in their life has walked through a version of this uncertain space. They did not have all the answers. They simply kept walking, trusting that clarity would come with movement, not before it. One heavy burden many people carry is the need for everyone around them to understand their choices. So they explain again and again. They shrink their dreams down until they seem small enough for others to accept. But understand this clearly, not everyone will understand why you are changing. Not everyone will understand why you said no to something that looked good from the outside, or why you are choosing peace over things that used to matter to you. This is completely fine. People usually only understand paths they themselves have walked. If someone has not walked your path, their confusion about your choices is not proof that you are wrong. It is simply proof that your path is different from theirs. You do not need to make your whole life easy for others to understand. You only need to live it honestly, one day at a time. Sometimes the people closest to you will be the ones who understand you the least, simply because they knew an older version of you and are still holding on to that memory. This can feel lonely. But it does not mean you should go back to being that older version just to be understood again. It simply means some relationships will need time to adjust to who you are becoming, and some may never fully adjust at all. Both outcomes are survivable. Both outcomes still leave you free to keep growing. Think back to a moment in your life that felt impossible to get through. A loss. A failure. A heartbreak. A season so difficult you were not sure you would come out the other side. But you did come out the other side. You are here, watching this message right now. That alone is proof of your strength. That strength did not disappear. It is still inside you, even on days when you cannot feel it. Especially on days when you cannot feel it. Do not let a difficult present moment convince you that you have lost the strength from your past. You survived before. You will find a way to survive, and eventually thrive, again. When things feel heavy today, remember one specific thing you have already survived. Let that memory remind you of what you are truly capable of. It can be helpful to actually name that memory to yourself right now. Not to relive the pain of it, but to remember the version of you that made it through. That version of you did not have all the answers either. They simply kept going, one day, 1 hour, sometimes 1 minute at a time. That same quiet persistence is still inside you today, ready to be called upon again whenever you need it. Some of the heaviness you feel does not even belong to you. Other people's expectations. Other people's disappointment. Other people's pain that they never dealt with themselves, quietly passed on to you because it was easier for them than facing it. Many kind-hearted people become experts at carrying things that are not theirs. They feel responsible for other people's moods, other people's choices, other people's happiness. This can look like love from the outside, but often it is simply exhaustion wearing love as a disguise. You are not responsible for carrying what belongs to someone else's life. You can care about people deeply without absorbing everything they refuse to deal with themselves. Notice what you are carrying today. Ask yourself honestly which parts actually belong to you, and which parts you picked up out of habit or guilt. Set down what is not yours. This does not make you selfish. It makes you strong enough to actually help the people you love, instead of quietly sinking beside them. There is a difference between supporting someone and losing yourself trying to fix them. Supporting someone means being present, being kind, offering help where you genuinely can. Losing yourself means constantly sacrificing your own peace, your own needs, your own well-being, in the hope that it will somehow fix a situation that was never fully yours to fix in the first place. Learning this difference is one of the most freeing lessons you will ever learn. Everything shared in this message points toward one simple invitation: stop waiting for permission to become who you truly are. You were not created to hide. You were not created to spend your whole life making everyone else comfortable at your own expense. You were created for something more honest than that, a life that actually fits the person you really are underneath all the fear and all the noise. This warning is not a threat. It is a mirror. It is simply showing you what continuing exactly as you are will cost you, if deep down you already know it is time for something to change. So here is your invitation today. Choose just one thing from everything you have heard. One truth to finally speak. One boundary to finally set. One fear to finally walk toward instead of away from. You do not need to change your whole life today. You only need to stop standing still. Remember that transformation rarely arrives as one dramatic moment. It usually arrives quietly, through a series of small decisions repeated over time. The decision to speak honestly instead of staying silent. The decision to rest instead of pushing through exhaustion. The decision to walk away from something familiar but painful, towards something uncertain but honest. None of these decisions need to be perfect. They only need to be made, one at a time, with patience for yourself along the way. If you find yourself doubting whether you are truly capable of this change, remember this. You have already survived every difficult day you were once afraid you would not survive. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment you thought would break you completely, you walked through it, and you are still here. That is not a small thing. That is proof, real and undeniable, that you are far stronger and far more capable than the fear inside you wants you to believe. Give yourself permission to slow down when you need to. Growth is not a race, and it does not reward those who rush through it carelessly. Some days you will feel motivated and clear. Other days you will feel tired and unsure. Both kinds of days are part of the same journey. Do not judge yourself for the slower days. They are simply part of becoming, just as much as the days when everything feels possible. If this message reached you today, trust that it found you for a reason. Not by luck, not by magic, but because some part of you was open enough, right now, to receive it. Take what helped you. Let go of what did not. And when you feel ready, not before, not because someone else told you to, but when you truly feel ready, take your next step. Deep down, you already know what that step is. Let us slow down for a moment and talk about something rarely discussed openly, the exhaustion that comes from always being the strong one. If you are someone others lean on, someone who is expected to have it together, you know this exhaustion well. You comfort others, you solve problems, you show up even on days when you have nothing left to give, because somewhere along the way, you learn that your own struggles should stay quiet so you do not become a burden. But carrying this role constantly, without ever setting it down, slowly hollows a person out. Strength was never meant to mean invulnerability. Even the strongest tree bends in the wind. Even the deepest river needs rain to keep flowing. You are allowed to need support too. You are allowed to say, today I do not have the strength to hold everyone else up, today I need someone to simply sit with me instead. Asking for help is not weakness. It is one of the bravest, most honest things a person can do, because it requires admitting that you are human, not invincible, and that admission takes real courage. Think, too, about how you treat rest. Many people have learned to feel guilty for resting unless they have earned it through exhaustion first. Rest becomes something you deserve only after collapsing, rather than something you simply need as a human being. This pattern quietly destroys the body and the spirit over time, because it treats you like a machine meant only for output, rather than a person meant for a full life, including stillness. Rest is not the reward at the end of productivity. Rest is the fuel that makes meaningful productivity possible in the first place. You do not need to prove your exhaustion before you are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to rest simply because you are tired, simply because you are human, simply because your body and mind deserve care without conditions attached. There is another quiet pattern worth examining, the habit of postponing joy. Many people wait for some future point to finally allow themselves happiness. Once the goal is reached, once the situation improves, once life finally settles into place. But life rarely settles into a permanent state of ease. There will always be another goal, another challenge, another reason to keep postponing joy if you allow it. Joy does not have to wait for perfect circumstances. It can exist alongside difficulty, alongside uncertainty, alongside an unfinished journey. Allow yourself small moments of joy today, not because everything is resolved, but because you are alive, and being alive deserves moments of lightness even in the middle of hard seasons. Consider also the stories you tell yourself about your own past. Many people carry a narrative built entirely around their mistakes, their failures, their worst moments, as if those moments define the whole story. But a single chapter, even a painful one, was never meant to represent an entire book. Your past includes your failures, yes, but it also includes your resilience, your growth, your quiet victories that no one else ever saw. You get to choose which parts of your story you allow to define you moving forward. Choosing to focus on your resilience instead of only your mistakes is not dishonesty. It is simply choosing to tell a more complete, more accurate version of your own life. Think about the people who have quietly supported you along the way, even in small ways. A kind word at the right moment. A person who believed in you when you did not believe in yourself. These moments matter, and they are proof that you are not walking this path entirely alone, even during seasons that felt isolating. Gratitude for these moments does not erase the difficulty of your journey, but it can soften it, reminding you that connection and support have found their way to you before, and they can find their way to you again. There is a difference between avoiding your problems and choosing when to face them. Not every difficult conversation needs to happen today. Not every fear needs to be confronted in this exact moment. Sometimes wisdom looks like pacing yourself, choosing the right time to face something instead of forcing it before you are ready. This is not the same as permanent avoidance. It is simply recognizing that healing and courage do not have to happen all at once. Give yourself permission to move at a pace that is honest for you, neither rushing past your own feelings nor hiding from them indefinitely. Both extremes eventually cause harm. The middle path, steady and patient, tends to be the one that actually leads somewhere lasting. As you move forward from this message, notice the small signs of change as they begin to appear. A boundary you finally set without over-explaining yourself. A dream you finally started, even in a small way. A moment of honesty you finally allowed yourself to speak. These small signs are not small at all. They are proof that the message you received today did not simply pass through you, it began to change you. Celebrate these small shifts, even if no one else notices them but you. Growth does not always look dramatic from the outside. Sometimes it looks like someone quietly becoming more themselves, one small honest choice at a time, until one day they look back and realize they are living a completely different life than the one they were stuck in before. That different life is available to you too. It always was. The only thing standing between you and it was permission, the permission you were waiting for someone else to give you, when it was actually yours to give yourself all along. Give yourself that permission today. Thank you for spending these few minutes with yourself today. Be gentle with the person you are becoming. There is something else you need to hear before we go further, something many people never take the time to sit with. You have spent so much of your life looking outward for proof that you are enough. A promotion. A compliment. A certain number of people who approve of you. A relationship that finally makes you feel chosen. But no matter how much of this you gather, it never seems to fill the space inside you that is actually asking for something else entirely. That space cannot be filled from the outside. It was never meant to be. It is asking you to turn inward, to finally give yourself the attention, the patience, and the acceptance you have been searching for everywhere except the one place it was always waiting, inside you. This does not mean external things do not matter. Achievements, relationships, and recognition can all be wonderful parts of a full life. But they were never meant to be the foundation. They were meant to be the decoration on top of a foundation you build yourself, brick by brick, through honesty, through self-respect, and through the quiet decision to stop abandoning yourself every time things get difficult. Think about how quickly you offer forgiveness to other people when they make mistakes, and how slowly you offer that same forgiveness to yourself. You replay your own errors for days, sometimes years, while barely remembering the mistakes other people have made against you. This imbalance is not fairness. It is simply an old habit, learned somewhere along the way, that convinced you that being hard on yourself was the same thing as holding yourself to a high standard. It is not the same thing. Discipline and self-punishment look similar from a distance, but they feel completely different up close. Discipline pushes you forward with encouragement. Self-punishment holds you down with shame. From today, choose the version that actually helps you grow. Consider also how much of your time has been spent waiting for the right moment. Waiting until you have more money. Waiting until you feel more confident. Waiting until the circumstances around you finally line up perfectly. But circumstances rarely line up perfectly, for anyone, ever. The people who move forward in life are not the ones who waited for perfect conditions. They are the ones who decided their dream mattered enough to begin anyway, imperfect conditions and all. Ask yourself honestly, what have you been waiting for that you could actually begin today, in some small way, even if it is not the full version of the dream yet? Maybe it is writing the first page instead of waiting to write the whole book. Maybe it is saving a small amount instead of waiting to have a large amount. Maybe it is having one honest conversation instead of waiting for the perfect conversation. Small beginnings are still beginnings. They still count. There is also something important to understand about comparison. In a world where you can see glimpses of everyone else's life at any moment, it becomes very easy to measure your progress against people whose full story you do not actually know. You see their highlights, not their struggles. You see their success, not the years of failure that came before it. Comparing your entire journey, struggles and all, to someone else's highlight reel will always leave you feeling behind, even when you are not. Your timeline is not broken just because it looks different from someone else's. Some flowers bloom in spring. Others bloom in late summer. Both are still beautiful in their own season. You are not late. You are simply on your own timeline, and that timeline was never meant to match anyone else's. Let us also talk about the inner voice that judges you constantly, the one that tells you that you are not doing enough, not achieving enough, not being enough. This voice often sounds like truth because it is so familiar, but familiar does not mean accurate. Often, this voice is simply an old recording, formed years ago from criticism you received, expectations placed on you, or moments when you were made to feel like you needed to earn your worth instead of simply having it. You do not need to earn your worth. You were never required to perform for it. Worth is not something you build through achievement. It is something you already carry, simply by existing, and no amount of failure can take it away from you, just as no amount of success was ever needed to prove it in the first place. When that critical inner voice speaks up, try responding to it the way you would respond to a frightened friend, with patience instead of agreement. You would not tell a friend who is struggling that they are worthless. You would remind them of their strength, their effort, their right to be gentle with themselves. Offer yourself that same kindness. You deserve it just as much as anyone else you have ever comforted. Consider, too, the quiet exhaustion that comes from trying to control everything around you. The outcome of every conversation. The opinion every person holds about you. The timeline of every dream you are chasing. Control feels safe because it gives an illusion of certainty, but life was never meant to be fully controlled. It was meant to be lived, responded to, adjusted to, with as much grace as you can manage in each moment. Releasing the need to control everything does not mean giving up. It means directing your energy toward what is actually within your power, your effort, your attitude, your choices, and gently releasing your grip on everything else. This shift alone can bring a kind of peace that years of tighter control never managed to provide. There will be moments ahead of you that test everything discussed in this message. Moments where old fear returns. Moments where you consider shrinking back into familiar smallness because it feels easier than continuing to grow. When those moments come, and they will come, remember that setbacks are not proof that your growth failed. They are simply part of the process, the same way a plant sometimes bends in a storm without being uprooted completely. You are allowed to have difficult days on this journey. You are allowed to feel unsure, to feel tired, to feel like giving up on some afternoons. What matters most is not whether you feel discouraged sometimes, because everyone does. What matters is that you keep returning, gently, to the truth of who you are choosing to become, even after the discouraging days pass. Think about the version of yourself standing on the other side of this season, the version who finally spoke their truth, finally set the boundaries, finally chased the dream instead of quietly burying it. That version of you is not a fantasy. That version of you is simply waiting on the other side of decisions you have not made yet. Every small choice you make today either moves you closer to that version, or keeps you exactly where you already are. You get to decide which one it will be, not all at once, not perfectly, but one honest choice at a time. Carry this message with you beyond today. Return to it whenever you need reminding that you are not broken, that you are not too late, that you are not required to shrink to keep others comfortable. You are allowed to take up space in your own life. You are allowed to become the fullest, most honest version of yourself, even if it takes time, even if it feels uncertain, even if not everyone around you fully understands the journey. If this message reached you today, trust that it found you for a reason. Not by luck, not by magic, but because some part of you was open enough, right now, to receive it. Take what helped you. Let go of what did not. And when you feel ready, not before, not because someone else told you to, but when you truly feel ready, take your next step. Deep down, you already know what that step is. Thank you for spending these few minutes with yourself today. Be gentle with the person you are becoming.